There's a war happening inside you right now. This very second. Two forces, ancient and primal, locked in an endless battle for control of who you become. One whispers promises of strength, courage, and love. The other screams seductions of anger, envy, and fear. And here's what nobody tells you: the winner of this war isn't determined by which one is stronger. It's determined by a choice so simple, so devastatingly obvious, that most people miss it their entire lives. A Cherokee elder knew this secret. And what he told his grandson one evening by the fire would change everything you think you know about yourself. This isn't just another story. This is the story of your life, whether you realize it or not. Every single person walking this earth is living out the same ancient tale, playing out the same internal drama that has existed since the first human being looked up at the stars and wondered what they were capable of becoming. The Cherokee people understood something profound about human nature. They understood that we are not simply good or bad, light or dark. We are battlegrounds. We are the arena where opposing forces clash every moment of every day, and the outcome of these battles determines the trajectory of our entire existence. This message is for anyone who has ever felt torn between two versions of themselves. For anyone who has made a promise to change and then broken it the very next day. For anyone who looks in the mirror and wonders why they keep sabotaging their own dreams, their own happiness, their own potential. This is for the person who knows they're capable of more but keeps falling back into the same patterns, the same cycles, the same defeat. Because what you're about to understand isn't just wisdom, it's a mirror. And sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is finally see ourselves clearly. An old Cherokee grandfather was talking with his grandson one evening as the sun melted into the horizon, painting the sky in shades of fire and gold. The boy had come to him troubled, confused about a conflict he'd experienced, about the anger and hatred he felt towards someone who had wronged him. The weight of these emotions was crushing him, and he didn't understand why his heart felt so heavy, so divided. The old man looked at his grandson with eyes that had seen decades of sunrises and understood the depths of the human soul. And he said something that would echo through generations: "My son, there is a battle between two wolves inside all of us." He let those words settle like stones dropping into still water. Then he continued. One wolf is evil. It is anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The boy listened, recognizing these feelings immediately. He'd felt every single one of them coursing through his veins at different moments in his young life. The other wolf is good, the grandfather went on. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The grandson thought about this for a moment, the firelight dancing across his face as he processed the profound simplicity of what his grandfather was telling him. And then he asked the question that changes everything. The question that every single one of us must answer for ourselves. "Grandfather," he said, "which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed." Think about that. Really let it sink in. The one you feed. Not the one that's stronger. Not the one that's louder. Not the one that was given to you by your past, your trauma, your circumstances. The one you feed. This means you have a choice. Every single day, every single moment, you are making a decision about which wolf gets your attention, your energy, your belief. When you wake up in the morning and immediately scroll through social media, comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel, feeling that familiar sting of inadequacy, you're feeding a wolf. When you replay that conversation where someone disrespected you, rehearsing what you should have said, letting resentment build a fortress in your chest, you're feeding a wolf. When you tell yourself you're not good enough, smart enough, worthy enough to pursue that dream, you're feeding a wolf. But here's the beautiful, terrifying truth: you're also feeding a wolf when you choose gratitude over complaint. When you offer kindness to someone who doesn't deserve it. When you decide to see possibility instead of limitation. When you forgive, not because the other person earned it, but because you refuse to carry that weight anymore. Most people go through life never realizing they're in control of this battle. They think their emotions happen to them, that their thoughts are involuntary, that who they are is some fixed entity carved in stone by genetics and childhood experiences. They're passengers in their own lives, watching helplessly as one wolf or the other takes the wheel and drives them toward destinations they never consciously chose. But consciousness, true awareness, changes everything. When you wake up to the reality that you are not your thoughts, you are the one observing your thoughts, you suddenly have power. You become the grandfather, not the confused grandson. You become the one who decides. This doesn't mean the battle gets easier. The evil wolf doesn't disappear just because you've decided to feed the good one. In fact, sometimes it gets louder, more desperate, more vicious in its attempts to regain control. That voice of self-doubt, of fear, of cynicism, it will fight for its survival. Because every time you choose differently, every time you feed the good wolf, you're starving the bad one. And a starving wolf doesn't go quietly. There will be days when feeding the good wolf feels impossible. When life has beaten you down so thoroughly that gratitude seems like a cruel joke. When someone has hurt you so deeply that forgiveness feels like surrender. When you've failed so spectacularly that self-compassion seems like self-delusion. These are the moments that define you. These are the moments when the battle is most fierce, when the choice matters most. Because here's what the Cherokee wisdom teaches us: consistency is everything. It's not about one grand gesture, one moment of enlightenment, one perfect day where you finally get it right. It's about the accumulation of small choices, made over and over again, until those choices become patterns, and those patterns become character, and that character becomes destiny. Every single time you choose love over fear, you're feeding the good wolf. Every time you choose courage over comfort, action over paralysis, hope over despair, you're feeding the good wolf. And over time, that wolf grows stronger, more dominant, more present in your daily experience of life. It doesn't eliminate the other wolf, but it changes the balance of power. It changes who you are becoming. Here's the shift that needs to happen, the realization that separates those who transform from those who stay stuck. You have to stop being a victim of your own mind. You have to stop pretending that your thoughts and emotions are these external forces beyond your control. You have to take radical responsibility for your inner world. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying reality or pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about recognizing that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies your power. The power to choose which wolf gets fed. Someone cuts you off in traffic, there's a space between that event and your response. Someone betrays your trust, there's a space. You fail at something important, there's a space. And in that space, you get to decide. Will you feed the wolf of rage, of victimhood, of self-destruction? Or will you feed the wolf of understanding, of growth, of resilience? The most successful people, the most peaceful people, the most fulfilled people aren't those who never face adversity or never feel negative emotions. They're the ones who have mastered this space. They've learned to pause, to breathe, to observe what's happening inside them, and then to choose consciously which wolf gets their energy. This is where true freedom lives. Not in your circumstances changing, but in your relationship to your circumstances transforming. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control which wolf you feed in response to what happens. And that choice, repeated over time, creates your life. So right now, in this moment, ask yourself, which wolf have you been feeding? Look honestly at your life. Look at your relationships, your health, your career, your inner peace. The evidence is all around you. The wolf you've been feeding has left its footprints everywhere. And if you don't like what you see, if you realize you've been nourishing the wrong wolf, here's the beautiful thing, you can start feeding the other one right now. This very second. Not tomorrow. Not when circumstances improve. Not when you feel more ready. Now. Start small. Feed the good wolf with one kind thought about yourself. One moment of gratitude for something you've been taking for granted. One decision to respond with patience instead of anger. One choice to see opportunity instead of obstacle. Because here's the final truth that the Cherokee grandfather knew: the battle between these two wolves never ends. But you don't need it to end. You just need to keep feeding the right one. Day after day. Moment after moment. Choice after choice. And slowly, gradually, inevitably, you'll become the person you were always meant to be. Not because you eliminated darkness, but because you chose to feed the light. The question isn't which wolf is stronger. The question is, which wolf will you feed today? That choice is yours. It always has been. And it always will be.